Hello, I'm going to offer you some of my thoughts on the latest iMac range. For those of you that are thinking of buying one of these for Christmas, being as how Christmas is upon us yet again. People spend an awful lot of money on Apple products, and it makes sense, I suppose, to perhaps spend just perhaps a tiny bit more than you thought of, but to make sure that what you're getting is future proof. Okay, so if we go to buy here, and let's have a look at these three 21.5 inch versions to start with. Okay, now Apple always try and keep one of them lower than £1,000, just I suppose to get people into the into the Apple door, I suppose. This one here has a 1.6 gigahertz processor and a terabyte storage, which to me just looks a little bit mean, really, especially as this is a dual core Intel i5. For me, an Intel i5 ought to be quad core at the very least. Some of the MacBooks are dual core processors, and you can understand in a laptop, okay, but this is a 21.5 inch screen, which is quite big, and you would have thought, yeah, could you not have gone for a quad core in there? It does turbo boost up to 2.7 gigahertz, however, so when it's working very hard, you'll get the higher speeds, and it'll do that automatically, and they all have turbo boost on them, all of the Macs, even the 27-inch ones. Okay, we've got 8 gigabytes of onboard memory. All of the Macs, the iMacs, have 8 gigabytes of onboard memory, which is looking just a little bit on the stingy side these days. You can configure it up to 16 gigabytes, but listen to what I say later. Yeah, we've got a terabyte hard drive. Now, on all of the 21.5 inch Macs, because it's essentially the gubbins of a laptop with a bigger screen, they're laptop style hard drives. Okay, they're old-fashioned. They're therefore 5,400 RPM hard drives. They're not fusion drives, neither are they SSDs, which will represent quite a big bottleneck in performance. Okay, we have onboard Intel graphics. They all have onboard Intel graphics. The downside to integrated graphics are that they steal system RAM. Okay, they don't have their own dedicated RAM. At least that's what I believe. I've certainly got an old MacBook from 2007, which has onboard graphics, which does steal from the RAM. Okay, and therefore it makes sense to buy as much RAM as you possibly can at the beginning. Okay, the two lower spec ones have an HD display, which my old 21.5 inch iMac that I had a few years ago, that had one of those, and it was fine for watching YouTube videos and iPlayer and that sort of thing. Looked very nice, to be honest. And I think, you know, this base spec performance one here would be fine if you don't demand too much from a computer. Don't try and do heavy duty video editing. Don't be one of these high-end gamers expecting huge frame rates from it, because you won't get them. Yeah, for ordinary computer usage, the Mac system to me is far better than Windows. There's just a lot more sort of underneath the hood, which seems to sort of work a whole lot better than Windows does. So I don't think you'll be majorly disappointed in this base spec one, provided that you didn't expect too much. If we select it, however, if my internet will let me, I've got problems with my internet, and it just seems to be cutting out all the time. That's not Apple's fault, it's BT's fault. But yeah, let's have a look. If we upgrade the RAM, because that's what's going to make your graphics run just a little bit faster as well, being as how the graphics card will steal from it. Okay, and we get a 1 terabyte Fusion drive, which is a combination between an SSD and a sort of ordinary hard drive here. You get a Magic Mouse as standard. You can upgrade to the trackpad if you want to. I prefer the trackpad, but yeah, each to his own. And that's going to cost you 1139, and that will get you quite a nice little computer, I think. But if we look at the mid spec, which is 1049, you've got a better quality onboard graphics card. You've still got this dreaded 5400 RPM hard drive, and you've still got 8 gigabytes of onboard memory. But even maxing that out, it's not a lot more money than a maxed out base spec one. And for me, that would be a better use of money, I think, especially as you are getting a quad core processor as well, which would be a lot faster for just just for ordinary things that you do on your computer. Okay. Especially even nowadays running an office suite. I mean, I come from the days where my first computer was a 16 megabytes of RAM, Windows 95 jobby, yeah, I mean, that would run an office suite beautifully. But nowadays, even Microsoft Office, certainly the Mac version for 2016 is slow and it's buggy. But for running Apple's own, which comes free with this, it's called iWork, and it has pages, numbers, and I can't remember what the PowerPoint version one's called, but I should know, but the names escape me for the moment, but never mind. But even that is free, and it's much faster, and it's an absolute joy to use. Okay, so I would max out this mid-range one. I probably wouldn't even go for this Retina 4K one. I'm sure that screen is absolutely beautiful, but it's the screen that is really costing you the money. Okay, and everything else, you've got a slightly faster quad core processor, but that's not going to make up for the fact that you've still got exactly the same graphics system as in the mid-range one. It's got to work an awful lot harder. It's going to use more system RAM, so you would definitely have to upgrade this RAM. Now, there used to be received wisdom with any iMac or with any Apple computer that going elsewhere for your RAM was far cheaper. But possibly because the whole thing is a heck of a lot thinner than they used to be, or possibly because Apple are playing dirty tricks here and they want people to buy their RAM, I don't know which. You cannot upgrade the RAM after purchase on any of these 21.5 inch models. Okay, so it does make sense to buy what you want, and not think, oh, I can upgrade in the future. So with all of these, 16 gigabytes of onboard memory will make your life a lot easier. And this Fusion drive will also make your life an awful lot easier. Okay, this is going to cost quite a lot of money when you upgrade the RAM and when you upgrade the Fusion drive. And remember, you can't do any of this later. Okay, so you've got to do it now. And they're therefore getting quite a lot of money out of you. This is now costing you nearly £1,500, for which you could, down here, now the 27-inch iMacs, they've all got this 5K Retina display. They have separate graphics cards with 2 gigabytes minimum of video RAM, which means they're not stealing RAM from the main RAM here, yeah, they're going to have a lot more of an easier job trying to run the screen, just to get the screen to turn on and do things. Here this is taking up system RAM, which you don't want it to do really. It's 1449. Okay, and it's a much better job. That you've still got this basic hard drive here, and the old-fashioned HDD drive here. It's faster than the 21.5 one. It's 7,200 RPM, which is I've got a late 2013 one with a basic 7,200 RPM hard drive on it. It's a little bit laggy in loading up programs, especially the dreaded Office 2016. But on the whole, it's not too bad. It does, it's not too bad. You have to wait around for it a little bit, and you will find that upgrading the hard drive is worthwhile, but it's not quite so drastic. You can upgrade the RAM later. It's not £160. Therefore, if you went to somewhere like Crucial.com, which will analyze your computer for you online and tell you exactly what memory you need, it's basically a lot better bet, a lot nicer display than this one here, and it will perform. Okay. For me though, even looking at the 27-inch iMacs, I still think this mid-range one is the better bet. You've got a slightly higher spec graphics card here, the M390 as opposed to the M380. I don't know what the difference is between the two, but you are getting a slightly better one. You've got a Fusion drive as standard. Again, you can upgrade the RAM later if you want to. You've still got this 3.2 gigahertz quad-core Intel processor, but provided my internet works, here on the base spec 27-inch, you can't upgrade the processor. On this one, the mid-range one, you can, provided that you specify that at the start. Okay, it'll cost you 240 quid, which is quite a lot of money. Okay, we've still got this £160 to upgrade the RAM. Okay, but you're getting this Fusion drive as standard, and to me that looks like the best bet. Okay, so if you want to buy an iMac, okay, and you're looking for for Christmas, whatever, get this mid-spec one with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a Fusion drive, or get the Retina, upgrade your RAM later, or the mid-range Retina one, your quid's in. Okay, I would ignore this one for the moment, this 21.5-inch Retina 4K, not because I don't think the screen's any good or anything like that. It's just that I think that they've had to keep the cost of everything else down in order to provide you with that screen. All of the iMacs are lovely computers to work with, but when you're considering how much money you're spending, it just seems to me the better value ones are the mid-range ones on both things. You can upgrade the processor on the top spec 27-inch iMac to the same 4 gigahertz quad core. I think it's actually an i7. Let's have a look if my internet will let me. It doesn't look like it's going to let me. In fact, I more or less definitely know it's an i7. Okay, it's slightly faster in the base spec processor. I don't know how much difference that's going to make. You've got a 2 terabyte Fusion drive as standard, which is quite nice, and a faster Radeon separate graphics card here, which you can upgrade to 4 gigabytes in the thing. If you really wanted to max out your iMac to its absolute full potential, choose the top one and max it out by all means. But if you want the best value for money, get the mid-range. Okay, the mid-range, and I don't think you'd have to do anything except upgrade the RAM, probably more or less as soon as you got it, but from somewhere else. Okay, and here endeth the lesson. Okay, enjoy your iMacs, people. They are lovely computers.